Welcome back, seekers of history's darkest secrets. Tonight, we uncover one of the most tragic royal legacies of all time, the so-called royal disease, hemophilia. It began with one woman, Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. Through her children and grandchildren, the disease spread like a shadow across the courts of Europe. Princes, grand dukes, and heirs to mighty thrones were struck down by even the smallest cuts or bruises, bleeding endlessly, unable to clot until death came. The question is, how many of Queen Victoria's descendants died because of hemophilia? And how did this hidden curse help shape the fall of Europe's greatest dynasties? Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell, because tonight's story will show how a single genetic mutation changed the course of history. The origin of the curse. Queen Victoria herself was a carrier of hemophilia, though neither of her parents showed signs. Historians believe it's a spontaneous mutation that began in her body. She unknowingly passed it to her children, and from them, it spread across the royal families of Europe. Her daughters Alice and Beatrice carried the gene into Germany, Spain, and Russia. And with each new marriage, the disease found fresh victims. The Russian tragedy, Alexei Nikolaevich. Perhaps the most famous victim was Tsarevich Alexei, the only son of Tsar Nicholas II and great-grandson of Queen Victoria. From birth, Alexei was frail. A bruise could leave him bedridden for weeks. A fall could threaten his life. The imperial family tried to keep his condition secret, but the truth could not be hidden. In desperation, his mother, Empress Alexandra, turned to the mystic Rasputin, who claimed to have healing powers. For a time, his presence seemed to ease Alexei's suffering, but it also dragged the Russian throne into scandal, undermining the Romanovs' legitimacy at the worst possible moment. When the Russian Revolution erupted, Alexei was still only 13. In 1918, he was executed alongside his family in Yekaterinburg. Hemophilia had not killed him directly, but it had weakened the dynasty, contributed to the rise of Rasputin, and set the stage for the Romanovs' downfall. Prince Leopold, Queen Victoria's own son, but the curse struck even Victoria's own children. Her son, Prince Leopold, Duke of Albany, was born with hemophilia. Despite his intelligence and charm, he was plagued by constant pain, joint bleeds, and weakness. In 1884, at just 30 years old, he slipped and fell in Cannes, France. The injury triggered unstoppable internal bleeding. Within hours, he was dead. He was the first direct descendant of Queen Victoria to die of hemophilia. Prince Friedrich of Hesse, the little boy who fell. The disease also claimed Prince Friedrich, Victoria's grandson, a son of Princess Alice. At just 2 years old, he fell from a window in 1873. For another child, it might have been a bruise. For Friedrich, it was a death sentence. He bled internally and died in his mother's arms. Princess Alice was inconsolable, and only 5 years later, she herself would die young of diphtheria, never escaping the shadow of tragedy. Infante Alfonso of Spain, a royal bullet. In Spain, Infante Alfonso, Queen Victoria's great-grandson, was a bright young prince. But in 1938, while cleaning his revolver, he accidentally shot himself in the leg. For a healthy man, it might have been survivable, but Alfonso was a hemophiliac. The bleeding would not stop. He was only 31 when he died, another victim of the curse. The other silent victims, the list goes on. Prince Valdemar of Prussia, grandson of Victoria, died in 1945 after his doctors fled the advancing Red Army, leaving him without a blood transfusion. Prince Heinrich of Prussia, his cousin, also suffered and died young. Others lived longer lives, but in constant pain, their bodies fragile, their movements restricted. The count, so how many of Queen Victoria's descendants died of hemophilia? At least 10 confirmed deaths can be directly attributed to the disease, including Prince Leopold, Prince Friedrich, Tsarevich Alexei, Infante Alfonso, and multiple German princes. Countless others carried the gene, suffered its effects, or passed it on, spreading the curse across Europe. The curse that changed empires. Hemophilia may have begun as a single mutation in Queen Victoria's body, but its impact was vast. It ended lives. It undermined thrones. It gave Rasputin power in Russia, weakened the Spanish Bourbons, haunted the German Kaisers, and cast shadows over Britain itself. One gene, one queen, and generations of suffering. Closing narrator, voice lowers, haunting. When we look at portraits of Queen Victoria, we see the stern matriarch of a great empire. But hidden behind the jewels and the crown was a curse she never chose, a legacy she never intended. A legacy that cost the lives of her children, her grandchildren, and the future of entire dynasties. So tell me, which of these stories shocked you the most? The little boy who fell from a window? The Tsarevich whose illness brought down an empire? Or the son who bled to death from a single fall? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because history is not just about glory. It is about tragedy, written in blood.